Hey, good morning. It's Sabine. It's Saturday, November 13th, and this is a short summary of the article I just published. Maybe you've already picked it up from the notification on the community page. And afterward, I'm going to publish a video which covers most of the article in detail pertaining to the coming 2 weeks. And there is even more in the article for the entire month, but in that video I'm going to read out most of the portions pertaining to the coming 2 weeks. But that is going to take a lot of time to listen to, so if you don't have that time or you've already read the article, this is just a short announcement that I've updated the article, both the November 19th celestial signs of not just the penumbral lunar eclipse and the full moon that day, but also there's going to be a perfect alignment in both the celestial silver gate of the Prince, the belt stars of Orion, the moon, Jesus as a grain offering in the asteroid Sirius, the Pleiades, the seven churches, and the Hyades, all at midnight. And at that exact time, in a golden gate, we have a double crown alignment of Venus marking the end of the race of believers and the crown promised to us at the end of our race in Paul's letter to Timothy, in addition to the sun ending its race at the altar of redemption underneath Corona Borealis, the northern crown, which is the victor's crown. So I have updated the article yesterday with a portion on these celestial alignments. So if you haven't read the article yesterday, this is a new element. And if you click on the link in the description box, you can pick up the article easily and look for the topics which are of your interest, because they are categorized in content of scripture, celestial signs, and markers on each day of the coming month. Plotted on the equinox solar calendar, I believe, is most accurate when it comes to the scriptures and the celestial signs. So this is just a brief summary of what I'm going to present later. So today is the end of the Paris Peace Forum, and we've seen the world elite bringing together all the three people of the unholy trinity, with first dividing or pointing their attention to Rome, to Pope Francis with the visit of Biden, and then the G20 meeting in a building actually shaped as a cloud. So they were meeting in the clouds in Rome. Then they went onward to COP26, the quote-unquote climate change meeting, the geopolitical agenda and rollout toward the New World Order. And that's where both Obama was featured, the one of the Antichrist unholy types, the first beast of Revelation, I believe, but also waiting in the wings and being ushered into the limelight as well with his Earthshot prize, quote unquote, was Prince William. So the three entities, I believe, will embody the unholy trinity were presented the last 2 weeks, and they had a common agenda. So this was the first time that I have seen that. And in the article, another article is linked by a brother. He is covering the 4 phases of mass insanity according to scriptural markers. And this would be the conclusion of the 3rd phase. So I believe it's a very interesting read, and it also points forward to the 4th phase where we are now transitioning into. So you can find that in the article. And then in the longer video, as well as in the article, I'm going to cover the month of Kislev, the 9th month, starting with the covenant of Noah. It's the start of winter, and it is also the bookend of the summer harvest. We're still in the summer harvest because the last oil offering, which is the final crop of this summer, the almond oil and olive oil. The almonds are considered a fruit, so that is the final fruit of Amos 8, his basket of summer fruit, and the oil was harvested and pressed for lighting the temple menorah. And the consumption of oil by the normal people had to wait until that first fruits of oil was offered to the temple. So this entire time frame until that point is where oil was most scarce, which partly explains the parable of scarcity in the wise and the foolish virgins, because they could actually not acquire that oil if they hadn't had enough until after this feast. And then we have an amazing lineup and celestial markers. November 19th in the mirror month of Sivan, we have a commemoration of the birth and the rapture of Enoch, the altar dedication of Methuselah, but also the Ten Commandments at Sinai. So this day is heavily marked in prophecy, but also in the heavens with the penumbral lunar eclipse, in addition to a full moon. And then at midnight, I believe we're going to see a midnight cry in the heavens of a perfect alignment in the celestial silver gate, of the moon, of Sirius, the Hawk star, the brightest star in Canis Major, the Orion belt stars, and both the churches of the Pleiades, the 7 churches, and the congregated believers, which is marked by the asteroid Ceres. So they're going to be perfectly aligned at midnight, November 19th. So the transition from 19 into 20. And at that same time, in the celestial Golden Gate, we're going to see an alignment of 2 crowns. Venus, the beloved, is going to mark the southern crown, the end of the believer's race, and the crown given or promised to the believers. And the Sun is exiting the altar of redemption where his work was finished. And if we look from that position where the Sun and Mercury, the best man of the groom, is coming together with the bridegroom at this time, it's lost in the sun's glare. If we look up, we see the victor's crown, Corona Borealis. So we have a double crown signing in the celestial Golden Gate. We have a amazing lineup in the Silver Gate, and everything is happening on November 19th. And then the article will cover what the season of the final offering means to us, I believe, in our spiritual walk with Christ, and how the Feast of Dedication is tied by the Sanhedrin of their days to the Maccabean Feast of Dedication called Hanukkah in 1st and 2nd Maccabees. But I'm going to critically analyze and bring forth a lot of mismatches between these 2 feasts in theme, in timing, and I'm going to put forward that Jesus was very unlikely commemorating the feast in 1st and 2nd Maccabees and why that was. And in that historic analysis of the time of the Maccabees, we see a division between a ruling establishment of the Maccabees on the one hand, who were going apostate, introducing mixture, worldliness, as well as idolatry into their practices, but also their manner of calendar keeping, and a growing division, contention, and ultimately a division and the exodus of a wilderness-type bride, the Essenes. And we find references to that in Daniel 7:25, and there's also a time prophecy in Daniel 12:12, which ties it in to the Revelation 12 sign. And for me, this was an amazing confirmation of the time frame of final grace and warning given to us in our day. So what happened in the time of the Maccabees foreshadows the ushering in of the beast system, the future distribution of the mark of the beast, and the bride who will flee to the wilderness at that time. So I hope you find that really interesting. And then some space opens up to consider if there are different feasts of dedication in biblical history which may be indicated and even referred to in the Feast of Dedication in John 10. And we have a couple of candidates: the dedication feast in Ezra 6, the covenant Noah made, and the altar he raised unto God, Kislev 1, the Noah covenant, which the enemy wants to distort with their Noahide laws. That is covered in the article. And then the November 19th commemoration of the birth and the rapture of Enoch. Right afterward, Methuselah raised up an altar to the Lord and dedicated that. So there's another feast of dedication in history, which is marked in this early winter time frame. And I believe one of the most beautiful references, and I believe that was a possible redirection, intentional redirection by the Sanhedrin away from Scripture, but also away afterward. After all the events pertaining to Christ had happened, they kept on holding on to 1st and 2 Maccabees, whereas the conception of Jesus is marked, I believe, on Kislev 29. And I'm going to put forward why I believe that. And there are references to that event in Haggai 2 as well. that happened on the evening before Hanukkah, Erev Hanukkah, when the menorah was first lit before the feast started. And I believe that pertains to Jesus coming down as the light of the world, and not the temple dedication in 1st and 2 Maccabees. So we are still in the time frame of the final summer harvest. The final oil offering is commemorated on the 12th of Kislev, November 25th on this calendar. And we are in the first judgment time frame of Noah's reigns, which was 40 days starting October 31st. And the ark door was closed, meaning we're invited into our bridal chambers. But I'm going to show that the dove, the bride type, the forerunner, has an open window in the ark, and what I believe that means for us. So this is a brief summary of the entire article and the video, which is going to come afterward, which is much longer. And to not keep you like bound to having to listen to me talking for 2 hours, but just get the gist of the article in a brief time. And if you have a desire to listen, I would love for you to do that. And otherwise, you can pick up the article and look for the topics which are of your interest. So thank you for watching as always, and I look forward to reading whatever the Lord puts on your heart to share, whether it be an insight, like a topic of your study, or a vision, or a dream, or a word that the Lord gave you. I believe we edify and build one another up, and especially encourage one another in these final days, and the world is getting darker. And so I look forward to reading what it is you have to share. And if you have any questions, I will do my best to respond to them as well. So I hope to see you in the comments. Bye.